Yeah,
I'm Gary Cooper. Practice in Pocatello. Right now, I'm the president of the Idaho State Bar, and I have the privilege of interviewing my good friend, and we've been partners over the years, John Bailey.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
John, congratulations on being chosen to receive the 2024 Distinguished Lawyer Award for the Idaho State Bar. I think for people that don't know you, it's interesting. You grew up in Pocatello,
Right.
graduated from high school here, went to Idaho State University, got your degree at Idaho State University, and then went to Moscow to the University of Idaho Law School.
Right.
And I think you graduated there, what, about 1980?
80. Yep.
Yeah, 1980. You returned to Pocatello. I think what's really interesting is you returned to practice with at least three lawyers that I know of that you went to high school with.
Right.
Dean Tramner, Brent Rhodes, John Engelstrom.
Correct.
That must create some really interesting interactions over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about some of the memories from that.
Oh, one of the things that really stood out to me was that you kind of knew what the other guy was thinking before you really got started in a battle. And so it was great familiarity. And of course, you had to be civil because they knew all your bad secrets. So you couldn't push them too far.
Uh, I bet that's right. Any interesting stories about interactions? I know you ended up practicing with Engelstrom and Roach, but
Right.
Dean Tramner was always the city attorney, and
Oh, yeah, he was just impossible to deal with most of the time. He was that brutal prosecutor when he was still prosecuting, but
well, John, I remember very well you joining the firm of Racine, Huntley and Olson in 1980 after you graduated from law school and took the bar. I had joined that firm a few years earlier, and so we had the privilege of working together for quite a number of years, about 15 years or more, as I
yeah, 15 or
recall.
20.
But the real satisfying thing was the chance that we had to practice with those giants of the legal profession, Lou Racine, Bob Huntley, and Bill Olson. I know you second chaired a lot of cases with all three of them. Do you have
Right.
some interesting stories about working with them?
One of the things when you think back to those days that really sticks with me was how you were, we'd sit down every morning and have a cup of coffee with these guys. And it was a master class. If you had a problem, you'd raise it, and they'd always have some bit of advice or some experience that they'd been through that saves you from making one of those errors that we, blunder through sometimes. That was, to me, one of the biggest things is just that master class of hanging around with those guys and sitting around in the morning and being educated on what you're really supposed to be doing here.
Well, after you were there for about 15 years, you and I had a interesting development in our careers. I can still remember being at the press box and meeting Dwight Baker there. He had summoned us to lunch at the press box, and this is about November of 1994. And I don't think either one of us knew why he wanted to meet with us, but during lunch, he pitched to us the fact that he had a trial starting in January of 1995. So we were about 2 weeks or 2 months away from trial. And this is a trial that was expected to last months, not days,
Right.
Months, actually
Right.
Months. And one of the lawyers that had been helping him came down ill and wasn't going to be able to participate, and he needed some help.
Right.
And I remember we agreed to help, but I don't think either one of us knew what we were taking on.
I sure didn't.
We tried that case for just about 6 months
Yeah.
against some truly gifted lawyers. Well, what do you remember about that? You have some good stories about what happened during that trial?
You know, what I do remember is trying to decide whether we should do this or not. And whether we could do it, knowing that it was gonna be a long trial. And the thing I'll never forget was driving back we went back to Blackwood to talk to Dwight about the particulars of it. And I remember driving back and you saying, well, you know, we don't have anything else to do. We might as well go ahead and do this. And you're right, we had no idea what we were in for. You know, they took these 12-day depositions of the principals, remember that? And the thing the second thing I remember most about that case was, you know, that was at the beginning of the technology in the legal business and legal profession. For the first time, we had real time. I think, wasn't that Tucker reporting that?
It was.
That they would run the court reporters in and out every 45 minutes. And they'd come in and the new reporter would sit down and start transcribing and then send the other one out. And they'd go out and proof their stuff out in the hallway. Well, and the other thing that I remember about that is that was the first time we had digital depositions. Remember, we were able for the first time to search depositions on a computer and had the computer sitting there with the depositions while we were going through things and going through exams, and we'd never had that before. So it was not only trying to get the case figured out, but also trying to figure out computers, which of course I'm not very well versed at yet, but that's my memory of that thing. It's just how cavalier we walked into a snowstorm.
Tell us about your family. I know that you and your wife Chris have been married for it must be 40 years. Is that about right?
45 coming up.
45 years. You have a daughter, Becky. Becky is actually your assistant.
Right.
Right. What? Nobody else would work with you, or
basically that was it. I mean, well, you know, she'd worked firefighting for the Forest Service for 6 years.
Good training.
Yeah, as it turns out, it was. Because I can't give her a hard time without getting fired back on. So, but she was working firefighting for 6 years, and her mother hated it the whole time, and absolutely wanted her to quit. And so she did quit and went into banking in Jackson Hole. So she came back at the time when we couldn't find legal assistants around here or paralegals. It was just a dearth of employees at the time. So thanks to another paralegal, Pam Miller, who said, no, we can train her, we'll get her going. And so we brought Beck back, and despite her in relation to her mother's wishes, we got her a safer job.
You've also been very active in the Idaho State Bar. You were bar president, about the year 2000? I mean, it's been 20 years ago. You were inducted into the American College of Trial Lawyers in 2018. That's quite an accomplishment. And now you've been chosen to receive this award. You're joining people like Lou Racine, Bill Olson, Dwight Baker, Marv Smith, Merlin Clark, Craig Meadows, to name a few. I mean, those are people from your firm and people that you've practiced with and stuff. And I'm sure you've asked the question, why me?
You heard it. Yeah, that's exactly
so right. Now you've had a chance to kind of get your head around this a little bit. What have you done to deserve this? And I know you have.
I honestly never thought I'd hear my name in the same sentence with distinguished lawyer, to be honest with you. That's been such a surprise, such an amazing surprise. But I'll tell you what, it's really because of those folks, you know, and the fact that, and you also as one of the former distinguished lawyer recipients. It's been a function of being around and being exposed to people who teach you how to practice properly, and being in a bar association that is kind of maintained those standards for at least 45 years that I know of, you know.
Well, congratulations again, John. It's been a privilege to be able to interview you for this. And, you know, do you have any closing remarks you want to make?
Well, you know, not really. I just appreciate you. I appreciate you being willing to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, man.